For this month, dedicated to all things spooky, I looked into elements that make things scary. One of the most common fears of man is loneliness, feeling isolated and far from any kind of human life, let alone friends and family. It is a real fear that we all share. So, here are a list of 5 games that I feel conveyed a good sense of loneliness. This is in no particular order, and feel free to share your thoughts and suggestions in the comments. I implore you to look up the music called Waterfall Undertale. This song is so powerful, mixed with the context of all the events leading up until this point of the game, running from the hectic and cheery Snowdin after all the fun that you've had up until this point, minus having to disobey Goat Mum. You are now pursued by monsters who want you dead. You find yourself in these underground caves with these flowers that whisper secrets to you, elaborating the plight of these monsters. The dark, dreary colour palette is a stark contrast to the place that you once called home, before escaping the only one who wanted to protect you. You press forward, guided by these magic lamps, giving you limited visibility of what lies ahead. All of this with this powerful, solemn music accompanying you makes you truly feel alone and completely lost. The music alone encapsulates the feeling of loneliness and being hopelessly lost. It fits this environment perfectly. The lack of visibility, the fact that enemies charge out from the mist really puts you on edge. It really is an oppressive environment. It doesn't help that you spend a lot of the time in this area underwater. Maybe it stems from my aversion for being submerged, as well as the deep sea and the unknown that lurks below. It also gets a lot worse in the Dark World. Just look at this place. I could spend an entire video alone talking about Dark Aether, and how much stress and urgency it puts on you as the player. The deep bodies of water are replaced with toxic acid. The world shifts to a deep purple and red, making this alien planet feel, surprisingly, more alien. Lovecraftian nightmares line the walls, while at the same time try to encroach upon you in the form of some of the enemies. The music morphs into a distorted shell of what it once was. The entire Metroid series covers loneliness and isolation incredibly well, seeing as Samus is often alone, so she's the only one you can really depend on. I mean, the Federation are useless. They just end up getting in your way half the time. Journey is gorgeous and starts off as this wonderful adventure of this scarf creature traversing vast deserts with nothing but the millions of grains of sand to keep you company. You glide through these environments, learning little bits of lore and history of a once great civilization, having a grand old time. But then you meet another creature, much like you communicate with one another through various chirps and movements, and decide to brave the climb of the mountain together. But then you turn away for a moment and they are gone, completely vanished from this plane of existence, leaving you to brave the climb, to traverse these forgotten lands, to slip past whatever this creature is, for finally completing your journey. You then ponder who that could have been. Was it a friend? Or some kind of spirit? Maybe a messenger showing you the way home, but then it shows you it was XXX Shadow Slayer 420. Isn't this a sweet game? How can anything in this series even come close to being scary? I mean, there's nothing remotely scary here. It's fine. Pikmin's a series of games where you find yourself stranded on an alien planet, all by yourself. Of course, in the second game you do go there with voluntarily, but in the first game, you only have one choice, and that is to leave the planet within 30 days. How do you go about doing this exactly, especially with the only way home being in shambles? Well, you enlist Pikmin, these little plant creatures, which have no real way of communicating with you. Think about it, you are not only alone in this enormous planet in which you are also incredibly tiny compared to everything around you. The only friendly creatures are these squeaking little plants that you enslave. How can you even seek kinship in these things? I suppose that's why he doesn't really mind enslaving them. It doesn't help that they are incredibly fragile, and unless you have enough of them, they may end up all just getting eaten, leaving you to fend for yourself. These environments are rather large, and when you zoom out far enough, you get a real good sense of how small you really are, how weak and how insignificant you truly are. This choice is a particularly strange one, as I have not played Minecraft in a long while. I never built huge cities or made a calculator, but when I was hooked on the game, around 2010 when the game was still in alpha, I couldn't put it down. I'm not really sure exactly why I could never recreate those feelings and emotions that I had got from that game. I never really treated it how it is now perceived, which is Lego, but for a new generation. I always saw it as this survival game, a game where you are plunked in this world that appears to be boundless, with not a single creature in sight. You of course discover cows and pigs, but that's it, there was nothing else. So what do? You collect your materials and you work with what you have. I always used to love making homes in the mountains, because then I would dig into the mountains, discovering networks of caves. You then find out why you need a home, because at night, monsters come out. Skeletons and zombies roam the lands, making all sorts of nasty noises, making sure you stayed put. So you dig further into the mountain, into those caves. You hear creatures in the distance scurrying around, waiting for you patiently, waiting for you to make a mistake, to stray too far. The ambience of the tunnels drives you mad before you scurry away, making sure you live another day. That was how I played Minecraft, and that was what I loved back then. The simplistic nature of it all, the emptiness and the struggle to survive. Creepers were so infrequent, you hardly ever saw them, but you always recognized that sound. You would always hear the stories about them ruining people's creations. You truly feared them, and they really were an unknown entity in this world. Maybe one day I'll return to this game again, and try to relive those moments, those instances of fear and loneliness. In closing, what are some of the common factors between all these games? They are all completely different in terms of genres and aesthetics, but share some important aspects that create a lonely mood. Pikmin and Journey force you to deal with loss. You could also argue the same could be said for Undertale. Pikmin and Journey are very abrupt with taking something away from you, whether it be those who may protect you or your companion on your journey. These games also share environments that are oppressive and expansive. They may not literally be huge in scale, like Waterfall, but they feel this way by limiting your visibility or immersing you in these dark, dreary landscapes. Vulnerability. Due to the size of the environments, or the colour palette, lacking in any kind of power or control, and loss. A loss in power and control, the loss of a friend or comrade, maybe losing any kind of safety that you may have had. I believe these two elements bind these experiences together and are crucial to creating a lonely atmosphere. So, that was my list of lonely experiences in video games. Please, feel free sharing games you think did this well in the comments. Bonus points for any non-traditional horror games. Thank you, and take care of yourself.